Indeed. And elsewhere, an Aboriginal leader in Canada says she will not meet with Prime Minister Stephen Harper unless the Governor-General joins the talks. Theresa Spence says the attendance of Governor-General David Johnston is essential when discussing the rights of Aborigines. Johnston is the representative of Britain's Queen Elizabeth, who is also Canada's head of state. Spence has been on a hunger strike since last month in protested poor living conditions of Native communities across Canada. The Natives have held many protests in support of their chief over the past few weeks. They are also protesting against legislation that affects Aboriginal lands and rights. Native communities say the government rushed the bill through Parliament without consultation with Native groups. Well, we're now joined by our correspondent Joshua Blakeney. Joshua, this is surely a clear sign of protest itself by the Aboriginal leader Theresa Spence, refusing to enter talks with the Harper government. Elaborate on her preconditions for sitting face-to-face, and is there a quick solution to the crisis, or has the Harper administration already done enough damage?
Yes, I think Press TV viewers might keep in mind that Canada is not a republic with a president. Canada is a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy, and the Crown historically has played the role of arbiter between Aboriginals and local politicians in what was formerly British North America. And so Prime Minister Stephen Harper, in the context of Canada, is kind of lower down on the political pecking order. And Theresa Spence is showing historical acumen and political astuteness by demanding that David Johnston, the Governor-General, be present at any negotiations, because obviously Prime Minister Stephen Harper is someone who is susceptible to the influence of the very resource companies that profit from the despoilation of the resources of the Indigenous peoples of Canada. And many resource companies and those politicians who they sponsor on the right in Canada would view the Aboriginal peoples as a kind of obstacle who get in the way of potentially lucrative profits. And so the role of the Crown has traditionally been kind of like a third party who would step in, try to look more objectively at the situation out in what was formerly the colonies. And this is a perennial struggle for Indigenous peoples, be it in Palestine or in North America, of trying to find a dispassionate and objective third party to adjudicate and resolve disputes between local elites. Because, you look at the judges and the political establishment here in Canada, they are clearly the beneficiaries of colonization. And so the Indigenous peoples would say, well, Stephen Harper and local judges and lawyers and so on in Canada are in a conflict of interest and aren't really in a position to be fairly appraising the disputes that are leveled by the Aboriginal peoples here. And so it's actually historically precedented for the Crown to intervene in these instances. But unfortunately, many people would say that the office of the Governor-General has found itself politicized in recent history, has failed to preserve the kind of institutions that are supposed to be permanent features of Canadian society. That is the role that the Crown has traditionally played, of trying to protect the permanency of certain institutions, because we have corporations in Canada and Crown Aboriginal treaties, things that aren't supposed to be able to be destroyed by the elected officials who are kind of here today, gone tomorrow. And so many would say that the bill C-45 is an affront to Canadian law and an affront to international law. Of course, the United Nations has intervened this week. That's a good example of a third party. The UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples stipulates that there has to be fair
Okay, Joshua, how about we leave it right there? That's our correspondent Joshua Blakeney from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. That's it with the top 5. I hope you enjoyed watching our program. But up next is Sports International. Amir Hossein joins me now from the sports desk to give us a preview of what's to come. Amir Hossein, I believe the preparations are in gear for the first Grand Slam of the year on the ATP Tour. What's going on?